These are the 5 best kickers to target in your upcoming drafts. Number 1 on the list, Brandon Aubrey. To say this guy's rookie season went well would be an understatement. He set the record for the most consecutive field goals made by a rookie with 35 and had the highest field goal percentage of any rookie with 94.7. He finished as the kicker 1 overall, and by a wide margin. He had 21 more points than the next closest guy, which was Justin Tucker. He ended up making 36 of his 38 field goal attempts and went a perfect 10 for 10 from kicks beyond 50 yards. He also made 52 extra points, which led the league, and I don't see him slowing down this year. Dallas was the highest scoring offense in the league last year, scoring a little bit over 30 points per game, and I don't think they'll be able to replicate that completely, but they're still going to be scoring at a high rate, and I think Aubrey's going to be a big part of it. He's shown that he has a huge leg. He had a game where he had 2 kicks over 59 yards. So I think he's earned the trust of the coaching staff, and they're not going to hesitate to call his number. Dallas's 38 field goal attempts were good for the 5th most in the league last year, and I absolutely love that they play in a dome. And how can you not root for this guy? He started out playing soccer and then switched gears and decided to give American football a try. He ended up playing in the USFL for 1 year before joining the Cowboys last year. He's currently being drafted between the 10th and 12th round, and I think that's a great value for someone that has a really good chance to be the kicker 1 overall again. Number 2 on the list, not much needs to be said about this guy, but Justin Tucker, the most accurate kicker in NFL history, finished as the 2nd highest scoring kicker in fantasy last year. And that really shouldn't be a surprise. In 8 of the last 11 years, he's finished in the top 5. And I think this year should be business as usual. The Ravens had the 4th most points per game last year, scoring nearly 28, and I expect them to be a top 5 red zone offense again. They also had the 6th most field goal attempts with 37, and I could see them being right around that number again. Tucker isn't just accurate on his field goal attempts, he's pretty much automatic on his extra point attempts as well. For his career, he's made 98.7% of his attempts. Lastly, this may be a bit anecdotal, but I feel like Tucker's role is especially safe just because John Harbaugh used to be a special teams coordinator, and he really takes care of the guys in that phase of the game. If you want Tucker, you're going to have to spend some capital. He's currently being drafted between the 10th and 12th round, which is expected, but it's definitely worth it, especially if you want a kicker with a safe floor. Moving on to number 3, Harrison Butker. Butker is quietly the 2nd most accurate kicker in NFL history, and last year he finished as the 7th highest scoring kicker in fantasy. And I think he has a good shot to actually beat that spot this year. I think the offense in Kansas City is going to be much improved with the additions of Marquise Brown and the drafting of Xavier Worthy. I think he should have some more opportunities than he did last year, but even last year, he had a pretty solid amount of attempts. He had the 7th most in the league last year, and I think that's a good baseline for him this year. He also had a career high in field goal percentage, making 94.3% of his kicks, and he made all of his extra points. And he was quietly the unsung hero of the Super Bowl. He set the record for the longest kick in the Super Bowl, making a kick from 57 yards, and he now has the most makes in the Super Bowl all time with 9. So I think his confidence is at an all-time high, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him finish in the top 3. He did finish as the top kicker in 2019, so he definitely has the talent to do so. Kansas City had the 14th most points per game last year with a little bit over 22, and I think that was an outlier. They should definitely improve on that this year. Let's not forget that this team has Pat Mahomes, and they can score points in a hurry. Butker's currently going between rounds 10 and 13, and I think that's a great value for someone given his upside. Number 4 on the list, Daniel Carlson. I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on Carlson because last year was just not up to his standards. He finished as the kicker 24, but before that, he was solid. In 2022, he finished as the kicker 2 overall. In 2021, he was the number 1 kicker in fantasy, and in 2020, he was the kicker 4. And even last year, he was no slouch. He made 26 of 30 field goal attempts, and for the 3rd time in his career, he made all of his extra points. A lot of what happened last year was out of his control. This team fired Josh McDaniels mid-season, and there were a ton of questions at quarterback. We saw Jimmy Garoppolo and Aiden O'Connell at the helm, and both of them really don't inspire much confidence. I think this year with Antonio Pierce in the picture, this offense is going to look completely different. They're going to run the ball, control the clock, and win games on defense. I don't see him leaving points on the board, especially in this division, so I think Carlson's leg is going to be called on early and often. I also like that Gardner Minshew got the starting nod for this offense. Last year in Indy, he had some red zone struggles, and that resulted in a top 5 finish for Matt Gay. I could see a similar situation happen for the Raiders this year. They may struggle in the red zone and have to rely on the kicking game more than they'd like. Carlson is largely going undrafted in most leagues at this point, and he may be the steal of the draft in terms of kickers. He is the 5th most accurate kicker of all time and has led the league in scoring twice. The Raiders also play in a dome, so I think he's set up for success and a huge bounce back season. Last on the list is Kaimi Fairbairn. Fairbairn is another great value. I think a lot of people are sleeping on him because he finished as the kicker 26 last year, but that's largely due to injury. He was limited to only 12 games due to a quad injury he suffered early on, but he still made 27 of 28 attempts, on his way to a career high in field goal percentage. The Texans just gave him a 3-year, nearly $16 million extension in March, and I think they have a lot of faith in their kicker. If he can stay healthy, he has a solid chance for a top 5 finish. He also has the benefit of kicking in a dome and is on one of the most potent offenses in the league. Last year, the Texans had the 13th most points per game, scoring nearly 23. And they only got better, bringing in Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon. I'm expecting their scoring opportunities to go up and for Fairbairn to be a big beneficiary. He definitely has the talent. He was the kicker 1 in 2018 and is quietly the 8th most accurate kicker all time. He's currently being drafted between the 12th and 15th round, so if you're looking for a good value and don't want to invest much capital into a kicker, he's the guy to target. Those are the 5 best kickers to target in your upcoming drafts. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and let me know which kickers you think we should target in the comments below.